Something to realize about people naturally in a natural in a natural world where you don't have any technology, you don't have where you're born into, say, a forest, and there are animals, and there's a lot of unknown, a lot of things that you could know but you don't know. You don't have any language really skills. Um, any from the very basics in tribes and the way things started, we knew less. And when you know less and when there's a lot of unknowns in the world, then you want to have some kind of control over that unknown. And that drives a person to worship either the things they see or the things or to imagine that there's something in control. And naturally, what people think to do is to sacrifice things or to perform certain rituals that's going to give them some kind of control over the unknown. It's going to satisfy some unknown god or entity that is going to get favor and, you know, control to try to make everything in the future peachy. And this is what and the purpose for religion or for a for defining the entity that's in control or the entities is to have a religion. And the ones that survived or have survived over the years have spoken and satisfy that need to somehow gain the ability to win favor and to cope with the things that are unknown in the universe. There are people that believe that through science we can know a lot, and the closer we get to science, the more we know, the less we need to be uh, reliant on winning favor from the unknown and the God, the Creator. And so, but the reality is that science can only go so far. It can only go to the observable universe. It can't go to the unobservable universe because you can only research things you can observe. If you can't observe them, you can't research them. So there's always going to be an unknown. And how do you deal with the unknown? Some people just admit that they won't ever know the unknown. But the thing is that you want to have control over, you want to find the satisfaction of knowing someone's in control, you see. And there are people that um, don't believe anyone is in control. And they don't look around the universe around them and wonder how in the world this could ever work, you know. They don't, they don't go let their brains occupy and marvel at the things that are around them. They figure everything can be understood through science, but the truth is not everything can. There are places we can't go with science because our computers don't even have the capacity or speed to really compute or understand or simulate the things around us. Well, I mean, the thing about it is that the organisms are so complex and detailed compared to our technology that the systems that exist inside of them, our flat technology cannot simulate them because they're more complex and dense than the equipment we're using to try to simulate and compute them with. The only way we could is if our computers were more organic, were more like the organisms themselves. And they would have to be practically what the organisms are to simulate the organisms around us, you know. The only thing you can really simulate is stuff that has a consistent behavior, but organisms don't have a consistent behavior. Their behavior is inconsistent. You can't figure out what an organism is going to do. I mean, to some extent you can, but when you bring in different chemicals and different other organisms, you don't know how things are going to respond. You can only observe them to see what they do and then somehow derive some idea of the possible outcomes of taking one organism and introducing it to another. And there's a whole science of trying to figure that out. And because of all of the complexity and the combinations of things, the more combinations, let me give you an example. The computers use a number system called binary, uses ones and zeros to count, and it's easy to count from one to whatever with the first 16 bits. But as you go up to multiple ones or zeros, a bit can represent either, is like a switch, can represent either on or off. And so a bit, if you have 16 bits, if you have 8 bits, you can represent 255 combinations. If you have 16 bits, you can represent 65,536 combinations. If you have 24 bits, you can represent $16,777,000. No, to 16,777,216. I think that's the number of combinations for 24-bit. And if you go up to 32-bit, it's like 4 billion. If you go up to 64-bit, it's 4 billion, 4 billion. So 4 billion times 4 billion. And pretty soon you're going to get up to the number of particles there are in the universe. And that's, I think that's either under 64-bit or under 64 ones and zeros or 128, And so the thing is that pretty soon you can use numeric representations in the computer you can enumerate every particle in the universe, but you can't simulate it. You can't have as many entities as you can count in the computer. You can't have that many entities because pretty soon you're going to exceed the amount of space that you can represent all of those particles. And so the thing is that computers cannot simulate reality. It's completely impossible. They can come close, but they can't simulate reality, because to simulate reality would require a computer as big as the universe. Okay. So there's no way that our computers will ever get to be as fast and as complex as the universe itself. It may be able to simulate things on a small scale that was like has all the attributes of the universe, but it will not be able to ever approach the complexity of the universe. And so the thing is that science will always be um, will always be it'll always be approaching um, the universe. It'll always be approaching. It will be on a destination for understanding the universe, but never get there. See, and so we'll never. There are some things we'll never know. And which would you rather live in? A world where only science knows the universe, but there's parts that the science will never understand, and so and that you don't have the capacity to control the environment. You can only maybe save yourself from what might happen as a result of too much carbon in the atmosphere, and people can only approach to fixing the crap we've destroyed or broken. We don't have the capacity to really fix each other. We don't have the capacity to make things work, and we don't have the capacity to make this world perfect. It's not going to happen because we're too imperfect to do that. And it's good that we're imperfect. We were designed to be imperfect. Because if you were perfect, you would not sin whatsoever. You would not explore. You would not try to understand. You would not have anywhere to go with the brains that you have. You would not be compelled to understand others. We're here to understand each other. We're here to. There are some people that say, "Well, we're just an experiment." Well, if you say you're an experiment, if you say you're just science and all that, the thing, keep in mind that that can only go so far, and eventually, you're going to realize that you're going to have the feeling that that we're not related, or I don't know. There's that can go to all sorts of places, and not everybody can think how everybody else thinks, and some people are comfortable with the way they grew up, and this way a lot of people are. But we've lost morality in this country. We've lost morality in this world. We're losing more of it, and as a result of it, we wonder why children are getting up and performing mass shootings. If you grew up with the belief that you were not special, that you were not created, that you were not, you had no purpose. What are you going to do if you believe you have no purpose in life? You have no reason to be here, and you have no reason to be involved with other people. What are you going to do? You're going to start, hating the people around you. You're going to believe that they're there is no future for yourself. And the way people think whenever they think about committing suicide, some of them think, well, first I'll get rid of the people that really bug me, and then I'll kill myself. And so when you hear about these people going out and doing these mass shootings, what they're doing is they're taking out all of their frustrations with the things they don't understand in the world out on somebody else, and then they're taking their own life because they didn't want to be here in the first place, you know. So they didn't want to deal with this world. And the thing is that the reason we are here is to develop a behavior of of to develop a behavior of I know the word. I'll think of it in a second. It's really just to understand. It isn't. I was thinking of tolerance, but I think it's beyond tolerance. It's developing an understanding and coming to terms on a with satisfaction with what just starting to realize what is good and what is bad in the world, and trying to keep more on the good, trying to love others, and trying to, yeah. So